Hi, this is Jenny Dobson, Curator of Education at the Loveland Museum. We just want to remind everyone that the museum is still open. You can find our hours on our website at lovelandmuseumgallery.org. Our precautions during this time include increased cleaning. We have signage placed throughout the museum. We are performing the City of Loveland COVID screening as visitors come in. And we do require all visitors to wear a mask during their time at the museum. We do ask that when you visit the museum that you purchase your tickets ahead of time. We can accommodate you at the door, but we're allowed to have 50 visitors per time right now. You can purchase tickets on our website. We also have special visitation hours for vulnerable populations that you can also find on our website. A lot of our programming we have on hold at the time. However, a few of our artist talks we are putting on Zoom. You can find that information on
what kind of a DPS board is this? So to say, now, As far as community of Hispanic educators, we're told that we were going to have community outreach. So Dr. Kathy Escamilla, Martha Urioste, Esther Romero, we went to meet with Dr. Terry Olson, Brad Fellow from Northeast, whatever his last name is. ¿Cómo se llama? Válgame, lo que sea. Okay? And the lady from the Alma Group, Venus, guess what? They weren't there. They weren't even there. So guess who we got to talk with? Dr. Carrie Olson, the lady who already likes Che. So we were disappointed. We were very disappointed. And so here's the thing. How embarrassing for Dr. Carrie Olson
she disappeared.
to be the
Okay.
only one there.
Rosemary
You
wanted
know,
to be in the
I've
video.
known
Was she
Dr.
trying to
Carrie
get
Olson
into it?
since I was at Mitchell Montessori.
Okay.
She was a first-grade teacher.
Maybe she just
when
wants to
I was
see it.
Yeah,
principal at
maybe
Mitchell
she
Montessori.
pressed the accent.
And she's the only one there. That is pitiful, it's disgusting, and it's sad. Now, moving right along to the Congress of Hispanic Educators. God bless Bernie Valdez, who is the one with La Raza and that educated all of us. He educated Bob Pena. Bob Pena became the first president of Che. And then Bob said, I'm going to file a civil rights complaint because our kids are not learning. So I know I'm saying quite a bit, but I got to tell you, Bob Pena, Theresa Pena, and parents, Latino parents went and they said, we got to do something about it. That's when the court order began, okay? The court order then moved on to 1999, and now we're with immigrant kids and refugee kids. Does the Board of Education even read the consent decree? No! That Brad fellow hasn't read it. He hasn't even read it. So, here's the thing. I've been saying for years that we need a Board of Education that wants to educate 100% of our kids. What do they say? We're gonna graduate 80%. That's not enough.
Right.
That's not enough. 100% of our kids must graduate. So the way I look at it, yes. So the way I look at it, none of these three applicants even know who we are.
Right.
They don't know who we are. We didn't even get to have a person from the Spanish Southwest, from Colorado, from New Mexico, from Texas. No. They bring in a guy from New York, wherever he is from, I don't know where. The lady from Florida, este otro hombre, ¿cómo se llama? Mr. Wright. He doesn't know a damn, pardon my French, she does not know anything about our kids.
Right.
I'm going to tell you, no, we want to see the board. We want to meet with the board. And if you don't meet with us, we'll come to you. You don't want to meet with us, we'll go meet with you wherever it is, whenever we have to. That's what I have to say. Is that enough?
And now we have the privilege of listening from a former Denver Public School Board member and educated activist here in Denver, Theresa Pena. Thank you, Nika. So I want to say thank you. I feel very privileged to be amongst this group who we represent a large community and generations of people who have been fighting for the rights of children in Denver for generations. As a former board member and a former board president, I know that the hardest thing a board has to do is select the superintendent. And as a letter that my colleague, John Bailey and Del Phillips wrote, we believe that the candidates that they brought are certainly very passionate and have very solid resumes. But let's think really hard about what we are asking the next superintendent to do for our children. We need somebody who understands English language learners. Over 40% of our children speak another language. We are under a court order. The gentleman from Aurora represents a district that has over 70% of their 7th graders who have never become English proficient. Is this the quality of a person that can lead the kids that we need to serve? We would say, let's have that conversation. The gentleman from New Rochelle, another fine person with a solid resume. He was actually interim superintendent in New Rochelle. a district of 10,000 people, students, and 70% children of color. Our district is 9 times that size. He was not selected to be their superintendent. So we ask, as the board said in a letter earlier this week, these are the next generation of educational leaders for, I don't know who, but we would say maybe not here in Denver. If he's not good enough for New Rochelle, why is he good for Denver? We need to know this from our board. The lady in Florida, a very fine woman. They all did solid interviews, if those of you who watched. Their district is under a OCR investigation for how they treat black and brown children. We are a district that is a majority of black and brown children. We believe that the board has done their very best work, and we think we need to pause. We have a fabulous interim superintendent with Dwight Jones. Our request to the board is let's keep Dwight in place. Let's ask him and see if he will stay so that we can continue to dig into the resumes. If the board believes that these candidates are so qualified, spending another week or 4 weeks or 6 weeks, why would we not wait? So let's dig hard, and if these are not the right people for this right time in Denver, then let's talk about what our next steps to be. And just to reiterate again, we honor the work of this school board. They have done heroic work through this pandemic, and our children have suffered. Let's not make this harder on our community and our families and the 92,000 children that this board represents. We are here to work with you, DPS board. Don't turn us away. And just one last note, I got a late message this afternoon. I actually spoke with Carrie Olson and Jen. They're willing to meet with us in either Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. Angela Cobian wants to meet with us. We will meet with them. We have a lot of questions that are unanswered. Yeah. We will meet with them, but we still have questions that need to be addressed by this board. So with that, I'd like to introduce my colleague, John Bailey. He's going to join us by phone. John is the lead of the Colorado Black Roundtable, and he could not be here with us in person, but we are going to ask him to join us and give his comments.
Hello.
Got it. Go ahead.
John, you're on speaker.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm here.
Go ahead.
John.
I'm here.
Go ahead and speak. You're on.
Okay. I'm assuming that we're here this afternoon to talk about the superintendent search at Denver Public Schools. And so, just from the outset, let me just stress a couple things. One, I've been a partner in community schools for a number of years. And part of what I have found out in community school sort of involvement is that the school reaches out, the district reaches out to the community for participation, and that participation is usually in the form of school board meetings or hearing from parents and others at community meetings, or in a case like this, when there's a superintendent search, getting the community's opinion. And this is a process that I think is authentic. The problem I find here, though, is that while we are at a process of community schools engagement and exercising that partnership relationship and a point of view, that point of view seemingly is not one that is being accepted currently. And the reason I think it's not being accepted is because it's not what the majority of the board, at least, wants to hear from the community. But if in fact you engage us and you empower us like we empower you, then you're going to have to hear from us, and understand that you're going to have to hear from us, because that's what good partners do. And because we're partners, we're not going to let you fail as you go through your deliberation. Point number one. Point number two, having gone through multiple superintendent searches, having been with multiple school board members, one of the things that I found out over the years is that in Denver, this is a major responsibility. This is not something that you can just put an aspirational leader in and hope that he or she will get into that position and do an outstanding job. That person has to have some experience prior to getting to Denver so that we can know that, in fact, you can do the job once you're here, and you'll be on the job training, not just on the job training, but can hit the ground running relative to going forward. And so with that, there are a couple things. The hindsight of this all is that many of us have seen the superintendents and school board people come and go. We've seen a consistent effort to try to help, but black and brown kids are still at the bottom of the well. In addition to that, the student ratio between students and teacher is teachers 80% Anglo, students 65 to 70 to 75% black and brown. So there needs to be a real connection made based on following through on historically what hasn't happened for our kids to get to the bottom of the well, and for us to be currently trying to find out of a pandemic an educational leader who can continue to push the envelope forward, who can continue to push the whole student excellence, whether it's black student excellence or brown student excellence or all student excellence. There needs to be a commitment to that. And so I raised the issue of let's restart the process, because the current students, the current candidates that I saw didn't necessarily fit what I thought were the needs of the district currently. And because of that, then I suggested further that we take the current interim superintendent, who has been a former commissioner in education in Colorado, who has had prior superintendent experience, who was in place to follow the superintendent who just recently left, and has done a great job in moving us through some infamous projects, some initiatives that needed to be dealt with, and trying to make sure that the collaboration, and the communication, and the continuity and the consistency are still in place. Those are value added that we need in this district. And so I encourage this board to overwhelmingly support going back to and revisiting the ask to Dwight Jones, will he stay for at least a year, so that the board and the search committee could then do an exhaustive search for the next superintendent of Denver Public Schools.
Thank you.
Thank you, John Bailey with the Colorado Black Roundtable. And, you know, action happens when we can come together, when we can unify and collaborate in the best interest of our children. And with that, I want to introduce Milo Marquez, who will also speak about his experience in this and our expectations. And a father of DPS.
My name is Milo Marquez. My name is Milo Marquez, and I'm here representing Auraria Historical Advocacy Council. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to go over some statistics and also a timeline of the superintendent search. On March 15th, 2021, the Denver Public Schools opened a community engagement process. This process allowed groups of parents, teachers, and organizations to come forward and meet with members of the school board and also members of the ALMA group. We were the first group to actually meet with the school board and the ALMA group. During that meeting, I noticed on the emails that there were 3 school board members invited. However, when we arrived, there was only 1 school board member and 1 ALMA group member. During the meeting, I asked the school board and the ALMA group if they knew what the ALAS, the Association of Latino Administrators and Superintendents, was. They were unclear of that, which was concerning. I also asked them if they understood the consent decree, which they didn't, which was also concerning. I asked them and begged them to please post an advertisement on the ALAS website for a superintendent that is both bilingual and biliterate. On March 29th, 2 weeks after our meeting with the ALAS group, ALAS finally posted an advertisement for the position of superintendent in Denver, Michigan, not Denver, Colorado. I waited until April 12th, and my organization wrote a letter which was published by El Seminario. In that letter, we demanded that the process be terminated and redesigned to be truly inclusive of our community. Why did we do that? Because we know 57% of our student population in this district identify as Chicano, Latino, and Hispanic. We know that 36% of the school district are English language learners, and therefore we know that their parents are Spanish speakers as well. If the goal of the Denver Public Schools is to graduate as many students and prepare them for college, why wouldn't they focus on the largest demographic in this district, which are the Chicano, Latino, and Hispanic students? Unfortunately, our community continues to graduate at the lowest rates in the district. That is why it is so important. That's why it's paramount that we have a superintendent that is both bilingual, biliterate, and understands our community and our culture here in the Southwest. The Denver Public School Board is failing our children, and we are not going to allow that to happen anymore. We're going to stand up and we're going to push and make sure our voices are heard. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Milo. And now I have also another young educator and activist in our community, Nicholas Martinez.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for having me. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak. Obviously, I'm new to the microphone. I think what you see here today is not anything new for our community. Our leadership, our families, our community leaders have been having these same conversations, these same fight for generations. And this is just the next step in those conversations and in that fight. What you see here today is a multi-generational leadership. Our elders, folks like me, I don't know where I fall in between that, and our young people most importantly. And we have concerns about the direction and the future of this district. And we look forward to continuing to work with this board and being an ever-present and very vocal member of this community, because our children's future and the future of the children across Denver Public Schools and the state of Colorado matter. And we will continue to be here, we will continue to work, and we will continue to push for what's best for our children across this district and across this state. Thank you.
So one of the things I do want to iterate, I know that Theresa Pena alluded to it, we will meet with those school board members that want to meet. But this is very clear. We don't intend to go away. We don't intend not to be part of any process in this district, because we're concerned about not just this generation of children, but the next 7 generations of our children. And we are concerned, as I said earlier, we are concerned about our Chicano Mexicano community, but we also know that we intermarry, and we're concerned about black children. We are concerned about immigrant children. We are concerned about refugee children. There should never be an issue where you settle for less than 100% of a quality education for any child that goes to school in this city. And that's the work that we will be doing. So, we're putting everyone on notice. We will be present at every board meeting if we have to. And there's a lot of us. There's a lot of us in this city. We'll be rotating through. So we're putting you on notice. You will be seeing us. We will not be voiceless, and we will not be faceless. Thank you. Have a good evening, and thank you to our speakers.